So welcome everyone to our Saturday share. It is March 29th, and we are honored to have Amanda Redding with us. Amanda Redding is, lots of information out there. There's a YouTube channel, there's a Substack, there's a Telegram group, website. I mean, Peter can post that all in the chat. I'm sure many of you are already familiar with her work. I love listening to Amanda. I love her honesty, her integrity, her straightforwardness. She's real people, real authentic. And we're, again, just really honored to have her here today. So welcome, Amanda. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and especially since you're taking the time out on you're away and you're taking the time out to speak to us today. So we're very honored. And I'd love to really leave it to you as far as what we'd like to discuss in the now, what's happening in the now, what's important for us to know as we navigate the times we're in. So there's been a couple of questions in the chat, but I'm going to let Peter moderate this share today as we move forward. So again, thank you very much, Amanda. We're grateful and honored to have you here.
Thank you very much. So I do have a speech disability due to a health issue. If you don't understand me, put it in the chat, and if necessary, type out what I said for clarity and ask Peter or Sharon to read it back. I asked you, as much as I know you want to ask questions, make note of your questions. I'm not going to answer them necessarily while I'm presenting. It's easier if you ask me questions at the end, because otherwise I might miss them. Make sense?
Absolutely. And if everyone can keep themselves muted so that there's no background noise coming in would be awesome. Thank you.
Perfect. So what people need to understand is Canada does have a constitution. A lot of people want to deny its existence. And that's the dumbest thing any one of us can do. What people need to understand is a constitution determines the structural framework of a body. I'm going to write that in the chat. Give me one moment. Now, when we think about a body, we think of our flesh and blood. What we don't understand is that land can be a body. Canada is a person, not just a place, because the land is a body. A building can be a body. So Apple computers, headquartered wherever, that building is the headquarters, is a body. The seat for the member of Parliament for Birmingham in the House of Commons is a piece of real estate. It's a body. Now, your DNA for your flesh and blood is your constitution. That establishes how your body is made up. But in law, a legal person, not a living individual, the Constitution establishes a piece of real estate as a body. Does all this make sense? Or is this kind of confusing?
Is the bonding
At the,
equivalent to a trust?
no, not necessarily. No.
Okay.
All right. I'm literally talking about a bonding, something tangible. A trust is something other. So tangible is reality. Okay?
Mhm.
When you die, your spirit goes on, your body, which is tangible, remains. Does that clarify? So, with that in mind, our Constitution, we only have one in Canada, whereas the United States has 51. They have individual constitutions for every state and one for the country. But in Canada, we have one with the provincial in the one. So the difference for a federal, everything's federal because we have only one. Okay? Now,
So Amanda, don't the provinces believe they are sovereign and separate from the federal body?
they have provincial rights. They do. But the nature, general nature, is federal. Okay?
Mhm.
But the rights, the Constitution divides the rights. Okay? Now, what is the structural framework for this land? The law of the land. We're supposed to have one system of justice. That's it, one, with 3 branches of government. I'm going to type that out for clarity. And if I can get Peter to repeat it when I post it.
We're supposed to have one system of justice with 3 independent, separate branches of government.
That's how we're set up. Supposed to be.
Mhm.
What's happened? We have 2 systems of justice. We have 2 justice systems, not one. How did that happen? Political parties are private entities. Let me explain. To be of my family, so my name is Amanda Rending. To be of the Rending family, I had to be born into it, married into it, or adopted into it. Well, I wasn't born into it. I married my husband. Because I wasn't born into it, I have a marriage certificate acknowledging my right to call myself a part of his family. But my husband was also not born into it. My husband is adopted. So he has an adoption certificate giving him a right to call himself part of that family. To be it has to be established in law by a certificate. Birth, marriage, or adoption. Make sense?
Mhm.
So, to be Canada, like for us to be a family, it has to be established by law. So, we established His Majesty, head of the House of Windsor, as our administrator under Rule 9 of the Constitution. We established the House of Commons to be our representatives to make the rules that limit, tell him what he may do. And he may only do what we tell him. And if we don't write it in law that he may do it, he can't do it. If it's not written in law, he cannot do it. Because he is not a living individual. He isn't legal person. Now, is everyone hearing me okay?
Yes.
Okay.
And I just like to say something, Amanda, because a lot of the people in our group believe in the straw man, and we don't want to discuss that today because we're just dealing with the law, right?
Get back to that at the end
Okay.
because that pisses me off beyond everything.
But that's okay because we're allowed to have different views, right?
But I'm telling people right now, actually, I will take care of it right now.
Mm.
I want everyone to look up the definition of fiction.
Fiction.
Look it up. Whoever gets there first, tell me what it means.
It's a fiction is any creative work, chiefly any narrative work portraying individuals, events, or places that are imaginary or in ways that are imaginary.
Imaginary. Imagine that. Is your legal person imaginary? No. Are you imaginary? No. You use the word straw man, and you're talking about something that's imaginary. Does imaginary exist? No. Stop using syllogism. If you do that, you will never see clearly. Yep, you're entitled to your beliefs, but until you see things and call them what they are, you will never see clearly. Does that help?
Yes.
Now, I see someone here. A person is about to corporate. What is the etymology of corporate? The root word. Root word. Corpus. And that means what? Body. So when you incorporate a conscience, your spirit, into a body, you incorporate it. And it becomes a person. I am. But everything that follows is irrelevant. The two most powerful ones are I am.
Mhm.
Whether or not I'm a woman or a man, who cares? I am. And that makes me an individual. And an individual is indivisible. My mind and my body are indivisible. Whereas a body corporate, meaning a title, the real estate, and the conscience are divisible. Do you see the difference?
Yes.
Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Now, going back to our justice system, Canada is the land, and Canadians are incorporated to the land to create the body corporate of Canada, making Canada not just a place, but a person in law. And we have a constitution to establish the law of our land. The law of our land dictates that we're supposed to have one justice system. And to be of Canada, the law of the land must dictate, create, and establish any public servant. To be of Canada, you must be a public servant established by and with an act or statute. And if you're not of Canada. I am Canadian, but I am not of Canada. I am of the Minting family. And I happen to be Canadian. Now, how does this apply to political parties? While they might be established in Canada, making them Canadian, they're not established by statute and acts, making them, like me, private. So a member of parliament may be of Canada, but a member of the Liberal Party is private. Now think about that. Should a private person be representing the private interests of a private party in our National Citizens Assembly, known as the House of Commons?
Absolutely not.
Pretty mind-blowing, isn't it? Now what's happened, we've allowed political parties to over time infiltrate our citizens, provincial, and national citizens assemblies. And they've been constitutionally repugnant laws. What do I mean by constitutionally repugnant? Laws that go against our Constitution. And in it, they've made a second justice system known as the administrative. It has a commercial nature, but don't call it commercial. It's a mystery. Call it what it is. Yep, it may be like an admiralty court. Yep, it may have the some of the principles of merchant law, but it's not those things. It's administrative court, and tribunals. And they're all known in law of Canada to be inferior court, inferior tribunal, superior courts. See the difference? If you're proceeding, if you go to court or tribunal, and it's not starting in the superior court, you're in an inferior administrative court or tribunal. And that, folks, is not ours. That belongs to the elites. And in those courts, they broke the procedures, the principles of natural justice and procedural fairness, and they broke the principles of fundamental justice. And they have us chasing our tails, using the wrong terms, the wrong names to shut us down. And until you rise up and use the right names and the right terms, you won't win.
It's all about form.
Huh?
It's all about form. Statutes.
Yeah. So, my point, this isn't a game, but whether you're talking claims, nature, natural law, or society, everything has rules. Everything has rules. You want healthy animals, healthy meat, healthy eggs? We know they have to roam freely and pasture. Okay, you break that rule, they're going to get sick. The food will not be as healthy for us. We know if we spray the skies, we're going to manipulate the weather. Leave Mother Nature alone, and the climate will correct itself. It's a rule of law, natural law. So we know these rules exist. It's not a game. So why the hell are we not paying attention to our rules of society to stand on them?
So how do we do that?
Well, that's that. In the midterm front, and it takes some practice, and you're not going to learn through AI. You learn by studying the public contract, and you learn by writing yourself and applying the rules until you have a working knowledge. Do you think I know so much because all I do is read? No, I know so much because I write 10 times more than I read.
And you're applying it.
Yeah. I choose never to be a victim.
Mhm.
When shit goes bad for me, I can figure out what went wrong so I never have it happen to me again. If I am blessed to survive, I'm going to learn from it. And I'm going to be stronger from it. That's how I'm made up. I've never seen myself as a victim. I have trouble talking right now. I lost my voice 2 years ago. Even now, while I might occasionally become frustrated, I've never once felt sorry for myself. I see it as a problem I need to solve. And I'm doing everything I can to figure out what I need to do to solve it. Because my divine creator gave me a body that's able to heal itself. And somehow, some way, something's not flowing right. So I'm doing what needs to be done to figure out how to help it. It's that simple.
And we all need to learn this, right?
Yeah.
We're not
You-
victims unless we choose to be. It's an inside job.
So I'm going to focus in one example. In the administrative court, just to give you an illustration of an issue, one issue, so you can understand a bit of court process. Now, this doesn't necessarily apply absolute word for word to every issue, but you have to be able to dissect every issue, one issue at a time, in order to get to the root of the issue, to get to the heart of the issue. Okay? Now, right now, the city of Berry, which I will refer to as Berry, only Berry, because Berry is a person, not just a place. City of Berry is a place. Berry is a person. I am from Berry. I am incorporated into the municipality to make my conscience with that land a binding corporate and a person in law. And so long as one person exists in Berry, Berry has a low-down title as a person in law. A low-down title is establishes a trust. So it's it's the land and the boundaries together that establish a person that help to establish the trust. They're not the same thing, but they need each other to both exist. Okay? And this is important. You can't go from A to Z without seeing everything in between, or you jump to the wrong conclusion. Now, Barry right now is putting up speed cameras. They're taking areas where people have become accustomed to going to a school zone with flashing lights. And when they see the flashing lights, they'll slow down. But Barry covered all the flashing lights, put up a 1 foot by 1 foot sign saying speed camera, and extending the time that the photo zone is in effect. When you're used to driving through the area, you're not used to the new sign. You're expecting flashing lights. So all kinds of people are being nailed with automated offense notices. Issue number 1. Under Section 3,
You picked a very good example, Amanda. Thank you.
of the, I'm typing in part in case we arrest. Okay, can you just read that for me, Taylor?
Sub-
Under
Under subsection 3
3,
of the Provincial Offences Act, an offense notice must be sent personally on the person.
now what people need to understand, we don't call it a ticket. It's not a ticket. It's a notice. Don't call it a ticket. Call it a ticket. You misunderstand what it is, and you don't see all its natures. An offense notice is a notice of offense. On the ticket, it says right at the top, offense notice. Says it on the notice. And in the law, it doesn't refer to it as a ticket. It refers to it as an offense notice. So I will never call it a ticket. I'll call it by its proper name, an offense notice. And this notice is notifying you that you've been taken to court. When you've been notified you're going to court, now you have to respond. This is not an official contract. It's a judicial proceeding. It's not the same thing.
So it's not an actual court.
It is a court. It's an inferior court. It's an administrative court. It is an unconstitutional court. It is not an offer to contract. You are literally they're saying you broke the contract. And we're suing you for breaking the contract in court. Here's the thing. I'm not bound to a public contract. I am not a public servant. I'm a private individual. I have to abide by a public contract, meaning I'm not supposed to break the law, but I can only be held accountable for breaking a rule in a public contract if there is probable grounds. There must be both reasonable and probable grounds. To sue me by criminal procedure. Criminal procedure is different slightly from civil procedure. They can give you notice before they file the charges. Civil procedure, you file the charge before you have notice. That's the real difference.
Okay, Amanda, I just want to repeat what you wrote in there so that people can get it. There must be both reasonable and probable grounds to sue me by criminal procedure. Now, a criminal isn't in criminal law. You have to have somebody harmed,
Yep,
and if there's no harm, then there's no violation. There's no ticket. There's no offense.
right.
And we just have to show them that.
Well, that's part of it, but not all of it. I will get to that.
Okay.
So probable grounds means there must be harm or damages. No harm, no foul, F off.
I won't repeat that. But I agree.
All right? So, with that in mind, if you receive an offense notice for an automated offense enforced radar ticket, will you serve personally in person? Yes or no?
Yes.
No, you won't.
No?
Did I come up to you and hand you the ticket? In person, Peter, did I? If I mailed it to you?
No, no, you didn't. No. And you have to be able to ask your accuser in court.
Well, don't get ahead of me.
Okay, sorry.
I'm only building the arguments now.
Okay.
Hold on together. Don't you mind. So, under Rule 3.3, by receiving this notice by mail, I haven't been served in person. All right? So, now, the provincial offenses officer, acronym POOM, the POOM, cannot identify me as a person offending, pending.
No.
So who or what has been accused? I'm the owner. I'm not accused. I'm only being held responsible.
The car.
Ban, car, ban. How dare you? How about being without me?
That was Chris that put that in the chat, by the way. Thank you, Chris.
Does that make sense? So in law, if I cannot be held accountable for Peter robbing the bank, then how the heck should I be held accountable for my car going out and spinning?
Bad car.
Bad car.
You better talk to that car.
Makes no sense, does it?
No.
They have in rem jurisdiction on the car. They do not have in personam jurisdiction as you, as the offender. Now, that's really part of it. I can take it further. Under Part 1, when you compare an offense notice under Part 1 and a summons under Part 3, a summons under Part 3, I'm going to put this in the chat. This is really important.
Okay.
Can you read that, Peter?
Yes, I can. When you compare an offense under Part 1 of the Provincial Offences Act and a summons under Part 3 of the Provincial Offences Act, only the summons has the words, "You are commanded by His Majesty."
Now, before I move forward on that, there's a few things I want you to focus on. Take a look at how I wrote that in the chat. Offense notice and summons are all written in lowercase. Why?
I should know this.
I'll tell you why. I'm not speaking about any specific offense notice. I'm not speaking about any specific summons, making them general nouns. As a general noun, they have to be lowercase. But Part 1 and Provincial Offences Act are all written as proper nouns with the first letter in uppercase. Based on what I just said, why? Because I'm talking about a specific part of a specific act. I'm telling you where to look. I'm telling you where to go. If we do not identify and separate a noun from a proper noun and see them for what they are, we will not see clearly.
And that's difficult to comprehend for myself.
Well, now that I've seen you, it's not so difficult, is it?
No.
Now that I've just shown it, I had to discover this on my own. I just made it easy for you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And now you will not look at words the same, will you? When you read them, you won't look at the same, will you?
Mm.
That's why you'll never see me put my name in lowercase. My first letter will always be capitalized because I am. I love that. Now, moving forward, why is that distinction you are commanded by His Majesty important?
Laura says it's like having two kings on the board of a chess game. Who has jurisdiction? If it had been,
I'm a queen, and the queen has all the power.
mm,
Who's the most powerful player on the board? I am. And guess what, everyone? Join me. Repeat after me. Who's the most powerful player on the board?
I am.
Let's try it again. Who's the most powerful player on the board? Come on. I
I
am.
am.
I hate to say it, but you're all queens.
Well, I'd prefer king, but
But on the chessboard,
yes, okay, absolutely.
it's about perspective.
Mm.
Anyhow, so why this is an important distinction. Under apartment offense, without those words, who's accusing you? The king?
No,
So who's accusing you?
someone below you.
Who hands you the ticket?
The mailman.
No, well, that's differently. Who issued the ticket? Who issued the offense notice? Who issued that?
I guess the police.
Ontario.
No? You're close here, Peter. The POOM. The provincial offenses officer, whom issued the ticket, the offense notice, in his or her own name.
Mm. And what right do they have to do that?
Just a moment. You're not wrong. Can you read that for me, Peter?
Yes. In a Part 1 offense, it is the POO who issues the offense notice in his or her own name.
Don't you think that acronym is really, really fitting?
Absolutely. And a few people have mentioned that.
So, if the POO is the one who is issuing the offense notice, one moment, I'm gonna look something up. Give me a sec. Okay. So, My computer's starting to slow down again because it's getting hot from the sun. So while it may not be visible for you to look on speeding up the highway, does the crew have probable grounds?
I
No,
don't
Joanne.
think so. No.
Joanne got it. She said no.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. If the crew might think it's unreasonable for you to be doing 15 over the speed limit, and while it might be unreasonable, without harm or damages, probable grounds do not exist.
Right.
Can you call up and share on your screen section 366 of the Criminal Code of Canada? I think it's 366. It's been a couple of months since I've used it. I don't care if they surrender. If I haven't hit someone or harmed someone, the proof can go for hit himself. They know it, I know it, and they know to leave me alone. Thank you, Joanne. That's right, Sharon. Without harm, no probable grounds. Thank you. Perfect. Do you want to read section 1?
I'm trying to make it bigger. Section 1. Everyone commits forgery who makes a false document, knowing it to be false with intent. A, that it should in any way be used or acted on as genuine to the prejudice of anyone, whether within Canada or not. Or B, that a person should be induced by the belief that it is genuine to do so, to do or refrain from doing anything, whether within Canada or not.
Now, just before we move on, I want you to think up for a minute. If there's no probable grounds, isn't that notice bringing you into court not establish a false document?
Yes.
Now, read section 2.
Section 2, making a false document. Making a false document includes A, altering a genuine document in any material part, B, making a material addition to a genuine document or adding it to a false date, attestation, seal, or other thing that is material, or C, making a material alteration in a genuine document by erasure, obliteration, removal, or in any other way.
They don't swear these offense notices under affidavit because they know them to be false. There's no probable grounds. Now read 3. So there's no attestation.
When forgery complete. 3, forgery is complete as soon as a document is made with the knowledge and intent referred to in subsection 1, notwithstanding that the person who makes it does not intend that any particular person should use or act on it as genuine, to be induced by the belief that it is genuine, to do or refrain from doing anything.
So if the poo is an idiot and doesn't know it's a false document, wouldn't making them aware it's a false document then cause them to be aware that if they continue, they'll be completing the forgery?
100%, yes.
Read section 5.
Exception 5. No person commits forgery by reason only that the person, in good faith, makes a false document at the request of a police force, the Canadian Forces, or a department or agency of the federal government or of provincial government.
So, how do you destroy the hood fence?
By making them aware.
Yeah. And how do you do that?
You let them know.
When you serve the motion to cross under Rule 36, we can take that down now. When you,
I got something in the way here.
one moment.
I don't know why I can't access this right now. There we go. Sorry. This is new to me.
Was that a motion to pause, Amanda?
Moment. I'm typing it.
Okay.
So when you illustrate the defects of procedure under a motion to quash under Section 36 of the Provincial Offences Act, you not only serve the prosecutor and file it with the court, you need to serve two other persons.
Who are they?
Hmm. John Doe, Provincial Offences Officer, or POO.
So, does everyone see how many persons I just named? And if so, who are they?
There's John Doe, the
Man, the individual.
private man, and the title.
Individual. I don't care about your gender.
Okay.
People hung up on gender. I am. I'm an individual. Gender is irrelevant, folks.
And the title.
Yep. The title is one person, and the name of the individual is the other person. Gender irrelevant. Bam! Now the cop cannot show. Now they cannot have a trial, and now they have to withdraw.
That's huge.
It's that simple.
Because they can't show up in court as an individual.
Because you have now destroyed their they're no longer acting in good faith because you made them know.
Mm.
And because you've been claiming process, blah, 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 you've been arguing law incorrectly. There's a reason why I don't get sentenced. And there's a reason why when I did law and during the pandemic and they called the police on me, I was able to talk myself out of sentence.
Mm.
I applied the law in real time And the cop said, I don't know that I finished everything. Wink, smile. But I don't feel like writing a sentence today. Bye.
Sorry, I didn't understand that. Could you repeat it, Peter, please?
I'm sorry.
I'll write it out and have 10 minutes.
Maybe provide an example of what you said that would prevent them from writing you a ticket. During the pandemic, when I was in Ottawa and when I crossed the border, I applied the law in real time to the police. The police would smile, wink, and tell me that they didn't necessarily agree with everything I said.
But they didn't feel. Sorry, I
Yeah,
missed your word.
they didn't feel like writing me or the person I was aiming to protect a ticket. Would wish me well and leave without issuing a notice of offense. So you made them aware that they were two people, two individuals.
I made them aware there were two people. I made them aware that they were issuing it in their own name. I made them aware that there was no harm or damages. And if they did this, they'd be committing an offense under section 366 of the Criminal Code of Canada, but issuing a forgery. Depending on the ticket, I would know my primary arguments before I would ever engage. And then I would argue them in real time. The bylaw officers aren't smart enough, but the police are.
And they would be liable as a private individual.
And then if they issue that ticket, I have them dead to rights.
Right? Because you made them aware. So they can't plead ignorance. They can't hide behind the title.
They cannot plead their faith. Not without first rebutting you.
Right? And they can't.
Nope. No probable grounds. How do you like me so far?
I love you, Amanda. You know that. Yeah, this is amazing. I agree, Johnny.
Now, folks, I want to illustrate something else for you. You need to understand two important things that we have been led to misunderstand by both sides, by the elitists and by the rulers. The crown is not limited to mean the king or his majesty. His majesty is a legal person.
But are we not the crown?
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Okay.
The king and all of us are the crown. Now, why do I say this? Take a look at Canada's Interpretation Act. Definition for His Majesty, Her Majesty, Rex Regina, and all that nonsense does not include the crown, because that's all of us.
Mhm.
And that's why all of us, every living and legal person, are sovereign within their sphere. We all wear it. All right? And that's why, does anyone know why private law and public contracts have an interpretation and definition section? No, we're not. Check that out in your hand, Laura. I'm not blind. I proved it. We'll get back to the 15 now. So, anyone who wants to turn off their mic to answer my question, I invite you to do so, but only to answer my questions.
Okay, so ask the question again.
The crown. We're all the crown. Why do private contracts and or public legislation have an interpretations and definitions section?
Interpretations, pardon?
I'll put it in the chat.
Isn't it that
Just
it's made like this?
let me write it out, and you can read it and then answer because of my speech.
Okay.
Because you have to define what the terms mean.
You have to take the first person office of the
I'm not
principal.
answering it first. So read the question and then answer.
Why do private contracts and public legislation have an interpretation and definition section? Because it's all about a fight for the first person office of man of competent capacity, which is your natural person.
No. That's not mine.
How is it not right?
Anyone else?
So everybody's on the same page.
Then you're on the wrong page.
Because there's two individuals.
Nope.
The general definitions may be too vague.
You know, we just,
Words have more than one meaning, because words have more than one meaning, we sometimes need to limit the meaning of a word for clarity.
so while the king, that His Majesty may be the crown, everyone's the crown. So to limit the crown to mean the king, we have to add that to the definition in the act specific as.
Right?
Otherwise, it means all of us. It's really simple.
It has to be defined.
If there's more than one meaning for a word, and you only want it to mean one of those meanings, you have to let everyone know this is the meaning intended when you use that word in that contract. So simple, and yet, boom, everyone misses it.
Well, they make it general so that it can be confusing.
Not general.
And it can
It's
be interpreted. It can be
It-
interpreted.
us, no. We allow it because we don't object when they try to spin it.
Oh, right. Okay.
And the other thing that people don't understand about a constitution is what it establishes. Not only does it establish a justice system for our land, Peter,
It entitles us to a piece of the Commonwealth held in trust by our administrative trustee, His Majesty.
His Majesty doesn't own Fahal, my friend.
Well, we don't either, actually.
Actually, we do.
Well, we do.
The common, the public crown land belongs to all of us.
Right.
As human resources and establish the common wealth of which all of us are entitled to a piece of.
Right.
If we are a naturalized or native Canadian,
Karen asks, can we find it in writing anywhere?
it's in the Constitution. And under the principles of law, under fundamental justice, natural justice, and procedural fairness. It's in our language. What do you think Commonwealth means?
Comment to everyone.
Beautiful. I'm a commoner with a right to the commonwealth of the crown land, which is permanent land.
So how do we address that?
Well, we start by throwing the political parties out of our assemblies, our citizen assemblies. And we start by revoking the repugnant law, removing the bad actors and reducing our system back to one justice system as it is established and depicted in law.
Because that's how it was created.
Yeah.
And it's been usurped by pirates, I call them.
Now here's something else. Do you know how in the US a Secretary of State must be confirmed?
Now that I don't know.
Well, you just saw Kennedy. One moment.
I know it's not being used properly. It's not being done properly. Was Kennedy not just confirmed as a Secretary of State in the USA? Yes.
Yeah. Votes. Sorry, one moment.
It's okay. Ministries and Ministers of the State Act Section 7-1 states that all ministers, like Secretaries of State, are to be appointed by a commission and then confirmed under the Great Seal of Canada. This includes provincial ministers of the Crown.
The Lieutenant Governor of all provinces under the Constitution is to be confirmed under the Great Seal of Canada. The Attorney Generals, doesn't matter what level, are all officers of Canada, not of the province. All officers are meant to be of Canada, even if their jurisdiction is limited to a province.
Boom.
Boom.
And that's not happening.
That's not happening.
No.
They're all assuming. Peter, what happens when you assume things?
Sorry, say that again?
They are all assuming their
Right.
power. What happens when you assume?
You make an ass out of yourself and me, or them and me.
That's what I mean.
So nothing they're doing is legal.
No.
So
No.
let that set in for a second.
All right, then I'll give you one more bomb. This is my favorite one. No, Laura, it's neither legal nor lawful. To be legal, they have to be following the law. To be lawful, they have to be following the law and the Constitution. If they're not following law or Constitution, it's neither legal nor lawful.
if they make amendments,
They
then
didn't, they
are
didn't,
they're
there's no amendment,
what is written, and they are bound to have to follow.
but they're not following anything and there's no amendment.
They have to follow the letter of the law. That is
They're
legal.
not. That's finding de facto.
The letter of the law is what is written, hence in letters.
Okay, you're not understanding me. Yeah, they're supposed to, they're not.
They're acting
Well, they're
fictitiously.
supposed to. If they're not doing what they're supposed to, then they're not legal nor lawful.
They're not following the law because they're not listening to people.
No, they're not following the law, period.
Exactly.
They're breaking it.
They are following the law as far as the law is designed to hold
You
it.
haven't. That argument with someone who's not going to listen. They're not following that. It's written, but they're not doing what is written. Meaning they're not following that.
How is it different though from
Oh, mute her face.
to be disrespected in a way when
Mute her face. I'm living right now.
it's not so different from what the government are doing?
Come on. I have a speech humanity. I will not argue with someone who will dismiss evidence.
The evidence is they did not acquire their position properly.
They did not do what's written in law, meaning they didn't follow it.
They're de facto.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Yeah, so right on the Governor's General site, it does say that they are de facto in possession. So what they've tried to do, I guess, under the new UN provisions, is that they're trying to say that they are indigenous here, but they are still an occupier. They still came in here under force and duress, and that was the whole point of giving the indigenous back their lands. So they keep saying that they're not ceded to the land, which means they are foreigners. And I put in the case law in the chat there that says they are a foreign citizen and an extension of the government of the United Kingdom, which means they're still foreigners. So they're foreigners operating on domestic soil, which means that we are the priority here. So if you don't understand what de facto means, it means illegitimate government. It says that. And the Bank of Canada, or not the Bank of Canada, the World Bank designates de facto governments as terrorists. So that's in 7.3 of the Bank of Canada procedural manual. So you need to understand the relationship of that. And even though they were de facto before and they're trying to claim sovereignty, they're still de facto because they're still using the same de facto legislation they inputted. And if it doesn't have royal assent, it means it's a private act. Okay,
Okay.
look up,
Let's
right?
go down here, and I'm upstream.
Yeah,
Okay? I understand all of what you're arguing down here.
yeah,
I'm trying to get you to see upstream.
okay.
If a private political party, private,
Private, you're saying private?
Private political party.
Yeah,
if
okay.
is assuming without following the law, ministerial positions that makes them private agents. And a private agent, whether you're a private political party or a minister, you are a foreign agent. That's why they're de facto.
Mhm. So
Until
they're acting as a role under the law, but they're not following it because they've never been.
they're not acting or operating under the law at all.
And that's quite obvious because there's nothing that the government has been doing, at least in the last 5 years, that has helped anybody in Canada.
I contacted my MP, MPP. The only one they're supposed to represent is who? The district.
Right.
She told me she could not. She told me she had the responsibility to represent as a minister His Majesty first, and as a member of the Conservative Party, her party second, making her foreign and not of Canada, meaning she is not following the law.
Right.
She got her minister title without commission. Not legal, not lawful, not of Canada, and therefore foreign.
So they're running their own laws.
They have two systems.
Right. And what we or
And
what
I'm
you-
trying to honor the bad one.
and what you're trying to do is bring back the de jure government.
Bingo. And until you see the two systems for what they are, all you see is this.
Yeah.
And I see this. And because you see this, you're down here, arguing. I see this. So I'm up here arguing with superior law.
Can I ask you, did you do a declaration to organize a de facto government? In order to do that? Set your intention or express that to them? To separate from the secular church and state organization they're running now?
I don't believe there's anything preventing us from creating a de jure government.
There actually was a de jure representative in the ministry, but his office now has been removed. You can't even find him on the website, government website, but there was one individual representing the de facto government.
I think you mean de jure, don't you?
Sorry, de jure, yeah, sorry, right, sorry.
That's okay.
Thank you.
We can do that at a city level, at a municipal level, right? I think, I don't know, it's just a theory that if the corporations who are acting in de facto, pretending to be the government,
Yeah.
why could we not create a government that is de jure
We can.
alongside and then give people the option? They can, follow the foreign government, the de facto government, or join the de jure government for the people.
So in the US, they're doing these town halls, each provincially or statewide. So is that what you guys are thinking? Some sort of a town hall to direct the public servants?
This is my theory.
Yeah.
And it is possible, but it takes a lot of people. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And not too many people seem to be interested in doing that. So Amanda states, I am working towards forcing them to choose between his or her private political party or being a representative for my electoral district, as the law states he or she needs to be. So basically that, yes.
Okay, I have a question here, Amanda. I just want to, because we've been reviewing the Constitution, and from our understanding and from some other people's research, when an enacting clause has been repealed, it then makes the entire act or legislation or constitution null and void. Now, they've repealed the very first point in the Constitution and replaced that. So now that would then I know everything pre 1982 is still anything from Britain is still available, or English law or English legislation, so anything like that. So I just want to, what your thoughts are on this, because I mean, I totally get what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying. I totally agree with what you're saying. I'm just curious on your perspective of that repealment, because they've used the Statute Revision Act, and they, with that clause in it, to remove the same clause from the Constitution. It's the first point in the Constitution of Canada.
That's
So,
to be more specific. I have no idea what you're talking about being repealed. The
well, then
British
you need to,
still alive and well.
well, then you need to review that, because it's the very first point.
You need to tell me specifically what you're talking about.
Okay, just a minute. Let me find it here. I just posted it in our group thing the other day.
It's the enacting clause that Quebec had to agree to, about the language clause. That was Victoria.
It's
That was,
Hold on, let me find it here.
no, are we talking about the Constitution Act, the 1982?
yeah, well, the BNA Act goes back to the Constitution Act, so one had to be predicated upon the other being enacted. That's what she's talking about.
No. The Constitution Act of 1982 does not go, the BNA does not go back to the Constitution Act. The BNA is in the Constitution Act of 1982.
Isn't there the Statutes Law Revision Act references that?
The Statute Law and Revision Acts is what
But
they
yeah.
used to repeal. Just a minute. Okay, repealed. Sorry, point. Where is this? Is it the point 2 that they repealed? Hold on, they've got it. They've got it really. Yeah, they're using the Statute Law and Revision Act to repeal. Sorry, when did they do this? I'm trying to see. Doesn't say.
There's more than one law statute revision that.
Pardon me? Oh, the 1893. They used the 1893 Statute Law Revision Act to repeal the provision to the acting thing that it says it's Her Majesty. It's the, like, when you open up the Statute Revision Law Act, it actually has it's showing the exact clause there. The clause that gives the Statute Law and Revision Act authority is the same clause that they removed from the Constitution.
I can't answer if you're vague.
I'm trying to find it here. Just,
I'll tell you what. How about you put the argument together and send it to me?
okay, yeah, I got to see where I laid it all out again.
Yeah, so when you lay it out, put it together and send it to me. I am getting tired. My speech is starting to falter. So put it together, send it to me.
That's a good idea.
Here it is. This is the enacting clause that they repealed was, be it therefore enacted and declared by the Queen's most excellent majesty by the advice and the consent of the Lords spiritual, temporal, and commons. See, this is why Catholics weren't supposed to be involved in the monarchy, because we are supposed to have the Lord's spiritual, temporal, and commons. And they've removed them from our government. Pardon me?
Do you know who they are?
Well, their positions, their positions. I knew previously right now, not off the top of my head.
The Canada's equivalent of a Senate.
Right.
Do you understand how the Constitution establishes the passing of law? Truly understand it.
I would say no, I'm not fully in truth of it. I've got a good idea. I mean, I know what they're doing now, but
Not right there.
yeah.
In contract law, you have an offerer and an offeree, right?
Yeah.
All right. So sometimes the offerer is a bill introduced in the House of Commons. And in dispute and then debate it. And if a majority approves, it sends to His Majesty representatives. And His Majesty representative debates it to determine whether or not His Majesty's government, okay, will administer it. And if they approve it, they pass it to His Majesty. And His Majesty says, all right, I'll administer it, and says it will assent. Or
Yeah.
His Majesty says, I'm not doing this, and withhold will assent. Other times, it'll be the other way around. The bill might be introduced in the Senate, passed, and the Senate, as the authors, will pass it to the House. And the House will become the offering. And if they pass it, then they give it back to the Majesty, and the Majesty says, yes, will assent, no, no will assent.
Right. Yeah.
That's how it's supposed to work.
That's how it's supposed to work.
Okay? And the Senate represents the interests of His Majesty. And the House represents the interests of the people. So why the hell are the ministers in our House?
Hmm.
They're not supposed to be.
The way the system is set up.
The way they have it set up is not legal, it's not written in law, and it's not lawful, not in the Constitution.
Right. According to the Constitution, nothing that we're doing right now is legal.
No, it's nothing.
No, none of it, because, and they've also changed it to a level where if you read back at some, even to be in the Senate, you had to have a certain amount of gold, or not gold, silver, bullion. There were certain rules you had to have, and they've totally altered that and made it now so it's, they can just hand pick whoever they want in there.
It's completely de facto.
Yeah, you guys are forgetting though that when we vote or when we give our power of attorney over to them, we don't specify. Well,
We're not giving common attorney. You haven't done any common attorney.
we have voting rights. We're shareholders of the Canada Corporation, Amanda. It says right on the government site, Canada is a franchise. And if it's the Commonwealth, then we all have a share in that. So when you do a quorum or voting, when you vote your representatives in power. And we don't specify what that power is. If you want to revoke an act or statute in Parliament, you can veto it by proxy. We've given our proxy over to them. And I've got that confirmed by a lawyer.
Well, and I know in BC, if you read the Court Agent Act, it says you're by choosing to vote, you are now an agent of the court. So you're an agent of the court. They make you, this is what they're playing games with the legislation.
And you're under their court rules.
Yeah.
You are, yeah,
Well,
unless you
Amanda-
specify otherwise. That's why it's important for you to rebut everything or veto or deny, right? Because you have to give them your consent.
Amanda put in the chat, voting is not giving power of attorney.
You're giving proxy.
Because
You are
live,
giving proxy, which is a form of power of attorney. They are acting as your proxies. That's what an executive or a president does. They are acting as a proxy. You can see what Trump is doing. We're acting on behalf. This is what the
Can
people
everybody-
wanted, right?
Can everybody stop for a minute? Because Amanda's a little overwhelmed with everybody coming at once. So let's let Amanda speak and address what's being said up to this point. Amanda's beginning to lose her patience. And we have to understand that there's many different ways that we can get to what we want. Okay, and Amanda is doing it one way, and she's going after the legal process, which is completely de facto. Nothing to do with the straw man, nothing to do with power of attorney. It's all about the de facto law and how do we get it to a de jure? How do we get it to the system the way it was set up for the people, by the people? Because now it's all about a foreign corporation that's taken over that position. Does that make sense?
You can read, feel free to read out what I'm writing.
You all need to understand what representation is. If you hire me as your real estate agent, I become your representative. Correct. As your representative, can I bind you in an agreement of purchase and sale? Not without your signature.
Yes, because verbal consent.
All right, I can't do this. If you honestly believe that, I can't help you.
Mm.
I literally do this for a living.
Mhm.
I cannot bind you as a buyer or a seller in an agreement and purchase of sale.
Without your permission.
No, at all. I cannot sign it for you.
Oh, right. Okay, I get it. I'm sorry.
Why not? I am not you.
Right. We can agree to disagree. And as I mentioned earlier, there's many different paths we can go down, and we can learn from each other. Everybody's carrying a piece of the puzzle, right? To get back to our freedom, which is the Constitution, which is a government that is de jure, which is for the people, by the people. And we don't need to be arguing about our point of view. Amanda's sharing something very important, and I agree with what she's doing. And if she's successful, which I believe she could be, we will have a de jure government for the people, by the people.
And if all you said that representation allows someone else to bind you in your name without a power of attorney actually being signed, then you know nothing at all about law. And I can't help you. And I won't even waste my time. Blah, bless, bye-bye.
We have to respect each other. I mean, part of the problem that we've gotten to this point in history is because we're not willing to listen to other people's point of view. And what Amanda is doing is something that she believes in wholeheartedly. And I do also, because she has amazing results, unbelievable results. And what other people are doing is also working, but we don't all need to be doing the same thing.
Actually, I'm sorry, Peter. When I start hearing people talk about, oh, I gave him my power of attorney by voting, that, I'm sorry, no, that is universally a myth. It's nonsense. And it's the wrong belief and the wrong way to think. I don't share my opinion. I present universal evident facts. When I share my opinion, I usually say, this is my opinion.
Mm.
And when people tell me it is, I'm saying it's not, voting does not empower an attorney, and they dismiss me, there's no point in trying to reason with them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, yeah, they have an opinion, and the fact is, they're wrong. They have a false belief. I can't help them.
Right. So they're assuming.
I, with my signature, can bind myself.
Right. So for you to give over your power of attorney, you have to sign it. You have to sign a contract. Without a signed contract, you're not giving up your power of attorney.
No one can decide for me. I am.
Now they think differently.
They don't know the law.
Exactly. So they assume.
And what happens when you assume? Block plus papa. Because you're not going to make an ass out of me. I will not waste my time or my energy on people who are not totally dismiss a universal truth.
I agree. And but also, as I state, people can go in different directions, whether that is correct or not.
Oh, yeah,
That's their choice, right?
know.
And if
But
they're getting results by doing that, then all the power to them, right?
a lot of people might get one or two results, but they're not consistent.
Mm.
Why? Because they might let you sit too hot for a while to give you the false impression you're doing it right. To keep you on the wrong path.
Right.
There's only one straight and narrow path.
And you have to ask yourself, if you're going down a different path, are you getting results every time? And if you're not getting results every time, then maybe you're not following the proper path. And we have to use discernment. We have to use critical thinking. We have to use results-oriented conclusions.
Just a moment.
Okay. Yeah, I agree, Joanne. Keep what you need and discard what you don't. Absolutely.
All right, my punctuation's off, so I'm not gonna fix them.
It's all okay, Amanda.
Can you help me with that, Peter?
Yes, I can. To really come to understand concepts, principles, and procedures of law, I cannot stress enough how much Dr. Graves' jurisdictionary course may help you see more clearly. I agree. It's brilliant. So I think that we should maybe end at this time. I just want to say, Amanda, that I totally appreciate everything that you're doing and everything that you shared today. And I would like to offer everybody to unmute yourself and thank Amanda yourself, how much you appreciate what she's done for us today.
Thank you, Amanda. I'm still blown away by you as I was when I spoke to you the other day. You are awesome. Please don't stop. Thank you.
I'm not stopping.
I know. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Amanda.
Amanda.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
Knowledge, good things to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda.
You're doing important things, Amanda. Thanks a lot for teaching us and being an example.
I do my best.
Yes, thank you, Amanda.
Thank you. Thank
you.
Thanks, Amanda. Questions for me? Just have me reach out to me in private. On Telegram or email groups. But understand this. If you will not accept the universal truth, I will bless you and say bye-bye. I'm not going to waste my time. And don't get me wrong. If you can refute me properly, I can be corrected. And I have acknowledged correction. But when you come at me with nonsense, bye-bye.
Yeah, we can't determine what other people should think or do. Absolutely not. And as I've stated before, and I'll state it again, I love you, Amanda. I love what you're doing, and I appreciate everything that you're doing to help us, all of us. And it may be, like I say, a different path, but that's fine. We all want to get to the same place, right?
I know, but I'm telling everyone where my boundaries are.
Mm-hmm.
And I know most people do not necessarily feel the same way. There's those few who bombarded me.
Yeah.
And the one I'm nursing him onto today because he's been pumping it in bed to bombard me with her nonsense because I blocked her. But I'm not going to show her around nonsense. I've done it for 2 years and I'm done. have what to know. And I had to focus on doing what needs to be done and not wasting my time on people who won't accept logic and reason. And if you don't like it, go back to the heroes. They're not helping you.
Absolutely. Just stay on your own path. We don't need to convince other people of what we're doing and what our path is, right?
Right.
Take what you can learn from everybody else and move on.
And don't get me wrong. I've had these conversations with people. They've helped me to see more clearly.
Mm-hmm.
But those, once I've seen and I'm able to explain, and then I hit into it with someone new who refuses to acknowledge when I have a point, I'm done. I don't need to waste my time. And it's not just that, it's a boundary.
Well, I
Some
just want
people
to
like to
point,
butt heads, I think.
I just want to point out that astrologically, we have been warned over and over the last few days for the coming weekend, this weekend, and the coming few weeks, not to take things personal.
Oh, I don't.
And now I want to say this to everybody, just because it's very important that we can take in information, but that we don't take things personal. That's all. That I think it's very important for the coming few weeks. Energies are very, very high, very intense energies, incredible, like never before, we are being told. So we have to be cautious to go ahead with our energies.
Yeah, that's why I have my boundaries.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't take it personal. I just with that. Sometimes
Yeah.
I believe you're right about that. I seen last night, there was a lot of crazy going on, almost like a full moon. But I guess we're in between two moons. So something is really going on.
Yeah, very intense. So thank you, Amanda. I really appreciate this. Is all new to me, and it was very fascinating, and it helps me to become more aware of all this stuff.
Yeah, and Amanda, I just want to say you're such a lioness. I'm so impressed with that, your nature, your intrinsic nature. I love it. And you have to have that to, be on your path. You can't not have that. So, and I'm so naive in terms of law, but you've really, really opened my eyes today from what I understood. Yeah.
my defining moments in life. Would you like to hear it?
Yes.
When I was 5 years old, a 12-year-old boy who was in my sister's class offered to walk me home after daycare. My instinct told me that wasn't right. But he was 12 years old and in my sister's class. I didn't follow my instinct. He convinced me to take an alternate route home. On the way home, he convinced me to go into the bush to see his foot. When he pointed out the foot was over there, and I turned, he strangled me, knocked me unconscious, and left me for dead. A year later, my parents never pressed charges. And a year later, that same boy shot his stepmother 6 times in the head through the gun on the roof of the school. After that, I learned to follow my heart. At 7, when leaving the school, a stranger approached me, tried to hit me. I was supposed to wait, but he was trying to grab me for my son. And I said, no. I knew it was there because the man was there. So I ran down the road to the corner and hid behind the house to wait for my friend. When she came out, she grabbed her. Now we looked a lot alike, so I thought maybe it was one of her uncles mistaking her for me. But my heart said no. They were on foot. At the age of 7, I knew to follow them. When they did not turn down the street we lived on, I kept following. And then I followed them all the way to the house. He took her to, ran home, and had my family call the police. As a result, the 3 months to get out and not be lynched. And that instinct has never failed me. Whenever I know it, something happens. When I follow it,
I'm sorry that you had to go through that, but also it shaped the person that you are.
I am so thankful. If that had not happened,
Exactly.
I would not have learned, I would not be who I am now.
Exactly, Amanda. Yeah.
How grateful.
I'm glad you shared that, Amanda. Thank you. It means a lot. It helps me understand why you're so powerful and why you're so determined and why you are, like Judy said, a lioness.
Well, as I said, I'm never sorry for what happens to me. Because I love who I am. And I wouldn't be who I am if not but for all those experiences.
Exactly.
And you've learned how to follow your instincts, which most of us haven't done. It's something we all need to learn.
I agree.
This has been truly amazing. Thank you so much, Amanda, and everybody that's on this call today, because you showed up.
Yeah.
So many others didn't.
Okay.
So
Thank you for your example, Amanda. You're a very special person. Thank you for sharing with us.
Well, I just want people to understand a little bit more about what makes me who I am.
Did you say that your mother died recently?
No, my mother doesn't talk to me.
Wrap this up.
My sister-in-law is the one who died.
There's a lot of amazing comments in the chat also, Amanda. I can share some of them. I would love to share some of them.
So, all right. Well, if anyone has questions, I'm pretty open on social media.
Mhm.
I have boundaries, and you know what they are.
Karen says, thank you for giving us different perspectives and opening our minds. Lee says, thank you so much for this, Amanda, especially until next time. Moreau says, thank you. Chris says, thank you, Amanda, so much for sharing your knowledge with us. Rachel says, thank you. Lodi says, I appreciate everything you do for us, Amanda. Marushka says, thank you, Amanda, love. Vivian, thank you, Amanda. Kat says, we appreciate you, with hearts. Marushka says, you will not unsquare some people's heads.
Fine. But I will argue with them either.
Lee says, 100% listen to everyone, trust no one. iPhone, I'm not sure who that is. All the power to the people. Let's go, Amanda. Fantastic information. Thank you. Yes, keep the positive vibes. Lee says the death cult religion is sun and moon worship. Jen says, wow. Lodi says, you're a strong lady, Amanda. I love you. Bob says, oh my God, thank you. Joanne, you are a pillar of strength. Jen says, we all need to learn and hear and follow our instinct. I followed mine one day too, and it helped me. Bob said exactly. Jen said exactly, Amanda.
Yeah, and Sharon asked what caused my voice to be affected. I have an autoimmune deficiency called myasthenia gravis.
Thank you.
I don't talk about it because I don't feel sorry for myself.
And you don't want to give it any more energy, right?
Nope.
Focus on healing, focus on wellness, focus on wholeness.
You're right, Peter.
Joanne says, thank you for the great meeting, Peter, and thank you, Amanda. Jen says, I agree, Peter. We suppress that sixth sense. Kat says, thank you, Amanda, with hearts. Bob, yes, we get a sixth sense because of what we lived through as a child. Jen, thanks, Amanda. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for hosting, Peter. I am not on social media. I would love to rewatch this. It'll be posted in the resource group. Sharon said, missed that last bit. And you, yeah, I have an autoimmune, Amanda, you stated, I have an autoimmune deficiency called myasthenia gravis. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that properly. Lee says, thanks, everyone. We all need to be that 7-year-old right now. Much love, Amanda. Have to go. Paul says, thank you, Amanda and Peter, for all your knowledge. Sharon says, thank you for sharing your experiences as a child. It explains much of why you are doing and what you are doing.
So for those who are not on social media, that is my email address.
Wow, thank you. Yeah, and Amanda has a huge heart. And she doesn't have tolerance for some people, which is fine. It's just, you know, like we've discussed, everybody's following their own path, and we just need to stay on our own path.
And I'm not opposed to conflict, folks. But when I'm in a debate and I win a point and you won't acknowledge it, debate over. I won't for sure. When you have a speech disability and people you're debating won't acknowledge when you win a point in the debate, there's no reason to with them. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I do have a group, my own group. It's called Free One Word, and it's all about people coming together, sharing their information, like I say, we all have a piece of the puzzle, and when we get together and share those pieces, we're going to be able to put the puzzle together. And when we do, we're going to return. We're going to gain our freedom back.
Thank you very much, Amanda, and thank you, everybody. I'm going to leave. Have a great weekend.
You too, Bob. Thanks.
I just want to make sure if anyone wants to reach out, they have my contact. That's really all. I can't always guarantee I can help everyone, but if I'm able, I do what I can. But at the end of the day, I will say this. It's important to be your own hero. God helps those who help themselves. I'm willing to hide you, but you have to do your own work. I would teach a man to fish. I won't give him the fish.
Absolutely.
Hand up, but not a handout.
I fully agree.
Yep.
Thank you again, everybody. We're going to sign off now. Have a great day. We have a garden group that's coming up. We're going to meet in the George and St. Catharines area. So hope to see everybody that's going to that there. And until next time, I love you all. I love you all.
Thank you. Back again, Amanda.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye. Thank you.